So tonight I want to talk about the one thing that most guys will spend their entire lives avoiding. It's the one emotion that is silently and quietly destroying your dating life. This emotion keeps you stifled, it keeps you inhibited, it binds you, it keeps you blocked, it makes you believe that you're unattractive, that you're unworthy, that you're unlovable, even subhuman in some cases. This emotion is shame, okay? So we're going to talk about how to break free from shame. Now, to really understand how to do that, you have to unpack shame, because shame is complex. You have to understand how it works, how it impacts you, how much of it you carry in your system, and ultimately also where it stems from. So all of you guys here have something that you're ashamed of. Every single one of you, including myself. I still have stuff that I'm ashamed of, that I'm working through. Whether it's your hair, how your face looks, your body fat percentage, your height, how much money's in your bank account, your lack of experience with women, how your voice sounds, right? Maybe it's even your penis size, right? Like everybody has different things that they're ashamed of. Like, all jokes aside, how you perform in bed, your approaching skills, certain like really secretive thoughts that you haven't shared with anybody, that you like deeply bury and keep to yourself. All of us have stuff that we're ashamed of. And if you really like look at some of these things that are personal shame points for you, objectively, like they're not necessarily good or bad. Like they just are, right? Like let's say you're 5'8" like me. Some guys are, yeah, I'm 5'8", okay? But some guys are so ashamed of that. It's a huge deal to them. It's a massive thing, right? It's the same thing with some people. They are overweight. Now, yes, that's something that they could work on, but some people are highly ashamed of it. Other people are like, yeah, I accept that. And I am where I am. You guys resonate with what I'm saying? So objectively, you're ashamed. You have the things that you have about you, physically, emotionally, sexually. You're the man that you are. But to you personally, some of these are very taboo, very unacceptable. Right? So here's the thing, guys. That shame isn't there by accident. It's not. And before I tell you where it actually stems from, I want to talk about how there's two ways that we all cope with our shame. I know it's a heavy talk, right? Like you guys probably even feel I could feel some resistance in the room around me. I could fucking feel some guardedness, some resistance around us talking about this, but we got to talk about it because it's the thing that holds you guys back the most. Even notice as I'm talking about this right now, like, are the arms getting crossed? Right? Right? Like, are the arms getting crossed as we talk about shame? we got. Are the knees coming up? So there's two ways that we cope with shame. The first way is that we hide it. Okay, so a very common thing that as guys we're ashamed of, that I was very ashamed of, was my negative emotions. I told myself that I was not allowed to feel sadness, anger, anxiety, absolutely not. Definitely not neediness, fuck no. Right? Like there are certain emotions that were off limits, especially around beautiful women, that I did everything in my power to just stuff them down and bury them and hide them and just show something totally different on the outside. Maybe that's your intentions, right? Like you see an attractive girl, but you want to fuck and you know that that's what you want. But instead you just shove that down, you block it out, anything it takes for her not to know that you're a sexual being. just like a platonic entity. Right? Right? That's it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, guys, that we hide. A lot of stuff that we hide. You can even think about it as I'm talking it. Like, what do you hide? What are you ashamed of, and how do you hide it? The other way that we cope with shame is we try to fix, right? Maybe we don't like something about how we look, and we just, let me fix it. Let me just fix it. Let me try to do anything I can to fix it. To hide the way I look, or certain parts of how I look, to hide my height, to hide my whatever, right? Anything about you that you don't like. How do I fix? How do I hide? And you do that a lot of time by, for me, overcompensating. Like in the past, I would not feel that masculine, and I would not feel that confident, so I would just put on a fucking performance. I would try to speak in a certain way. Like when I look back at my older videos, when I first started creating content, I was just speaking like this. Like literally, it was just me forcing myself to speak in this very confident, dominant way. It wasn't actually real. It was fucking fake. Walking a certain way. And it's so much pressure. It's so exhausting to be constantly hiding and fixing. Now, as I said, guys, the shame isn't there. It's not meant to be there, but it's there for a specific reason. And that's what I want to talk about right now. Your shame was programmed into you as a child. Okay? It was deeply imprinted in your subconscious mind. It was like a tattoo that was printed into it. And the way that happened was either directly, if you got physically abused as a kid, like you got beaten, maybe there was sexual abuse, even if it was very subtle that was happening in your household. Verbal abuse, you were called really mean, cruel names. You were spoken down to, disrespected by your parents. Emotional abuse, neglect, right? Like things like that. Over direct abuse, that all creates a lot of shame. It makes you feel worthless when you become an adult. Or indirectly, through nonverbal messages, like you're a burden. Like who here maybe felt like they got the vibe from their parents that they were a bit burdensome? Like they're just a lot to handle, right? Or maybe that your needs are not a priority. That you're taking up too much time and energy. You're just bothersome, right? That all creates a lot of shame. I know that that's what I experienced growing up. So guys, as children, you are so naive and so innocent, right? Think about it. You come into this world. You're full of love. You assume that everything's going to be okay. You're helpless. You assume that your needs are going to get met. But what happens when that's not true? Like what happens when your parents never got their needs met? And you have a mom that's highly reactive and dysregulated. Or a dad that is very harsh and abusive. Maybe an alcoholic. What do you do then? What happens when your parents need you to meet their needs? And they're just using you as a way to fulfill the void inside of them. And make up for the shame that they feel. What happens? Well, what happens is that you start to think that if I perform better, if I act better, if I try harder, maybe I'll be loved. Maybe I'll be worthy. But what happens when that strategy doesn't work? What happens is that you come to a conclusion that maybe I'm the problem. Maybe the reason why, to a young child, right, who doesn't know any better, the reason why my mom keeps saying she wants to kill herself, or why my dad keeps drinking, or why there's all this conflict happening in my household, all this turbulence, all this abuse, maybe it's because of me. Because no matter how much I smile, no matter how good my grades are, no matter how much I try, all of this is still happening. All this chaos is still happening. I know it's fucking heavy to talk about. But this is like, I really want to get to the root of what's holding you back. I want to be real with you guys about, it's not a tactic, it's this. This is what it is. It's the shame. And what happens is that you develop what's called a shame-based identity. You decide in that moment that it's not something you did that's bad, it's you that's bad. I'm bad. I'm the cause of all this. Because as a child, like, you're totally self-centered. You don't have the emotional intelligence or the attunement or the sophistication to know your parents' complex emotional history. You're not a psychotherapist as a 3-year-old. You're not able to read all their subtle emotions and figure out how back far their traumas go. Like, you don't have that capacity. You're just a naive child who's helpless, who wants to be loved. And when you don't get that love, and when you get that constant stream of abuse and not getting your needs met, that neglect, that dismissiveness, you feel that constant unsafety, you decide that it's because of you. Raise your hand, guys, if you relate to all this, what I'm saying. Like, this is like a taste of what you had growing up. It's true. This is my life. So what happens? What happens is that you develop the shame-based identity, and then you go through your entire life reinforcing it. So I used to think, like, I remember growing up, I was not a cool kid. I was not popular. I didn't belong, right? And I had really low self-esteem due to a lot of the bullying I went through, all the stuff that I went through in my household growing up, the shame that I felt. And I thought, you know what, once I get older, I had this like fantasy that once I get older, it's all just gonna go away, right? Like, you get a job, you become an adult, like it just all goes away. Who thought that way? That like as an adult, it's just like, it'll just like magically like go away.
Still think that way.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
It does not go away. Actually, it only strengthens. Because every time you have a negative reference experience, right? You get cheated on. You get rejected. You get ghosted. To someone who isn't full of shame, that's like, okay, like, that person must have issues. That's why they did that. Or like, there is a lack of compatibility here. But to somebody who has low self-esteem and who has a shame-based identity, that's like an attack on them. It feels very personal. You guys know what I'm talking about. It really affects you, especially if it's with a girl that you really like. And it just reinforces and reinforces and reinforces that shame-based identity. Okay? To add to this, the shame-based identity also made you feel like you can't really be yourself, that you need to change who you are. That's part of what happened, is that, you know, you thought that at first, I need to do something to change what's happening with my mom and my dad. When you couldn't do that, that same strategy of trying to fix and hide and be somebody who others want you to be, that's also still a part of the whole program. So that's why you guys perform, right? Is because you feel the shame and you don't want to show different sides of yourself. Okay? So how do we fix this? Well, the first thing I want to ask you guys before we talk about the 4 steps to healing shame, because there's a process to this. What are you ashamed of? I want all of you guys to grab a pen and a paper or a notebook in your phone, your notepad. I want to get to the core here. So I'm going to ask you the question of, what are you most ashamed of? So take 30 seconds and just brain dump. Like, what comes up right now? What are you most ashamed of? And more specifically, what are you most ashamed for women to know about you? What are you most ashamed of showing women? The women that you really want. What are you most ashamed of them finding out? The first step is clarity, awareness. And remember, shame lives in the dark. So shame is known for being hidden. It's things that you don't want to show, that you want to hide, that you want to put under the rug. Now the next question is, how do you hide these things that you're ashamed of when you're around the women that you really want? What is the strategy you use? How does that work, that strategy? How does that mechanism work of being ashamed and hiding this thing that you're ashamed of? Your subconscious already knows the answer. And now the final question is, what do you show instead? So how do you hide it, and what do you show instead? What do you present to the world outside of you? So I give you a very good example. So imagine you are ashamed, very common one, right? Of being man to woman, of being sexually dominant and assertive with women. So imagine you approach women and you're ashamed of your sexuality, you're ashamed of your like true intentions of like wanting to like sexually connect with her. So instead how do you hide it? You without even realizing, you squeeze your dick, you numb out everything down there. Just completely shut everything off. As if you don't even have a dick, right? You just totally numb everything out. You pull up into the mind. You start to think to yourself, I can't show this. I need to not mess this up. I can't be creepy, right? And what do you show instead? There's a big fake grin that goes across your face, right?
I didn't write that yet.
The arms, maybe the arms close, the arms go in the pocket, the big fake grin, the small talk, the superficial small talk that's inauthentic, right? Like that's all, what do you show instead? And guys, awareness is like 50% of the process, is just seeing all of that happen. Seeing the shame, seeing how you hide it, seeing what you show instead, just seeing the mechanism at play, and being able to eventually step out of it. The answer is not judging yourself for having these things or these tendencies. That actually makes it worse. So don't shame yourself for having shame. Not helpful. Just see the shame. Become aware of it. Be curious about it. Like you're learning a brand new language, like you're in a brand new world. It's like, whoa, what is all this over here? I want to know all about it. That's the frame of mind you want to have. Just curiosity.